Hey everybody, it's Scott.Weller. It's Happy Tuesday, and we're back with another live stream, as we do every week, at about 11:30 or so Central Time. So today we're going to do something a little bit different, which I always try and mix it up so it doesn't get to be boring. Today we're going to do something a little bit more challenging. We're going to start with an image that's mandatory for all people who are entering this AI competition that I'm in, and we all have to use the same image. So we're going to start with this, and then we're going to try and do something fantastic with it. So we have to have what this is known as an init image, or your initial image, and we have to kind of go from here. Now, where this is interesting, or why this would apply to, say, photographers like myself or other people, is because we could actually take client work or other projects and probably go through this same iterative process. So we could start with, say, a client image and kind of take it to someplace fantastic, and then Photoshop back in what we need to so that it's the client and not some sort of bizarre MidJourney face or something like that. So my plan today is to kind of play with this and see where it goes. I haven't practiced it. I think the idea of doing it online with you guys and then, going through question and answers, watching me struggle with it, things like this are all good learning opportunities. So why not? So the rest of this week, I have a couple other videos I want to get done, including one about installing Stable Diffusion locally. And a few other people have done it, but I think they've kind of done it in a weird way. And I don't think you're doing yourself any favors if you're installing it in a weird way. You want to be able to keep it up to date all the time, because every single day, multiple times a day, there are new updates to that. Now, today we're going to be using Dream Studio, which is the paid version of the Stable Diffusion company. So it's the same thing, but it's a version ahead. It's running 1.5 instead of 1.4, which is what everyone has for free. Remember, this is the same company that's giving you this for free, but they do make some money. So if you want to support this and continue to see AI evolve, obviously taking a little bit of your time and your money and putting it toward them helps them obviously hire more people, continue to make great products, and release, again, free versions for us. So keep it in mind. Speaking of which, thanks to everybody who supports this channel. You guys have all been awesome. Here's the patrons that have helped me out quite a bit. I've been gone a lot. So I've been traveling a lot. So I'm going to try and get all the content for you folks back up. So thank you very much for supporting the channel, and obviously trying to make it interesting and reasons why you would want to be members of this channel. Let me know, well, what do you want more out of this? Now, I'm more of a visual person, so this was a photography and Capture One only and Photoshop channel for a long time. Now, AI art has come along, and I'm using it with my clients. I'm making money from it, not so much just selling it directly, but using it to augment my clients' photos so that they buy bigger wall art and so on. So those are kind of the things that I'm going to teach you on this channel. Now, I also have a couple other hobbies, like I like my laser cutter, I have a 3D printer, I goof around with that kind of stuff. So every once in a while, I'll kind of sneak in a video along that lines as well, because why not? So you let me know what you would like out of this. Now, so today we're going to use this init image here. So I'm going to go to a different camera. It's looking down at my desk, so you can kind of see my keyboard and where my hands are and stuff. Because people are always like, I don't know what you're clicking on, what are you pushing? So we're going to kind of go to this view instead of the side of my head cam, which I may actually turn back on at some point. So how's it going? So whichever one you find to be better, you let me know. But this is our weekly. So let me adjust that a little bit there for you. Yeah. So, hey, You're the Dreamer. Thank you for your sponsorship. You just joined just now. That's a great timing. I really appreciate that. All right. So this is the image we have. And yeah, I don't know what it's supposed to be, but let's just go with it's a long hallway somewhere, rocks on either side. Okay. So what do we do with this? How do you use an image like this? And the short answer is you can use it inside of Dream Studio. So this is beta.dreamstudio.ai. Again, same people who run Stable Diffusion. We can go down here into, on the left-hand side, there's a show editor. Now, this is a paid service. Now, the price of it is actually dropping from what I understand yesterday's announcement. So some adjustments to the pricing of this should be coming up live soon, if not already. I didn't even check to see how much I have in here. So I got $50 worth of stuff. So about 5,000 generations worth of credit. But again, they're going to drop the price of that and then credit you back, I guess, for all the changes they've made in pricing. So if you've been a member or paid before, you're going to end up getting some additional credit out of it, which is pretty damn cool. So what you would do with this is we go to image, we go show editor, and in here we can upload an image. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go, I was making some feet from my laser cutter because the ones I have are terrible. I'm just going to put this in here like this, and I need to adjust this a little bit. Actually, let me turn this down for a second. Sorry about that. I just noticed that I can hear my music, which I should not be able to do. That'd be bad. I don't know why I can. Weird. I don't want to accidentally have music going back and forth to everybody there. All right, so once we've got this in here, we can adjust our sizes and everything. So I want it a little bit taller. We can kind of see the original one. I'm not really sure what to do with this orange block down here, but we can do anything we want to do. I guess it's the rule, as long as we start with this image. So what can we do here is we can indicate how much this image is going to impact our prompt. So we'll just start at 50% and see where that goes. That's actually, in my experience, that's a little aggressive. Like I might probably want to drop this down to like 30 something at some point. We'll just see how that goes. So what is it? I don't know what it is. Let's just kind of start somewhere and go from there. So my prompt strategy is pretty much always the same thing, and it seems to get me where I need to go. Is I start just simply and kind of work through. So it's big generic thing. So let's start with an. I want to go with maybe. I think like my knee-jerk reaction is it's a path, but again, this is an image competition, so it isn't a matter of you just have to complete an image. I want an image that wins, right? I want an image that is better than just a random path. I want to do something unexpected. But let's start there. So it's a path. It's a rocky path, right? Through. So let's do green glowing rocks. This is an alien landscape. And you can use commas in here if you like, if that makes you happy. Feel free to do so. But you don't need them. They're just noise. So there's nothing wrong with adding noise as you're going, but just realize it's not required. So we just kind of go, we want to go. What is important though, is that it's order of important. Everything to the left is more important than everything on the right. So as we're building this prompt, we always want to try and keep in mind that the most important words come first. Now, they do not have prompt weighting in here yet, meaning in some of the instances of this, you can put parentheses around it to make this work harder, but you can't do that with this at this time. Some of the other ones I've seen have you can put an exclamation mark after it. Again, none of that really kind of works at this point. There's no prompt weighting, but I know they're working on it, and I'm actually missing the fact that it's not in here because I can use it in my local one, and I really appreciate that fact. Is there any more to this image? I think so. Okay. So what about at the end here? Well, there's a portal to something. Space. Let's just go with that. Portal to space. Now we need an artist. An artist, a lot of people just, pick an artist, like poor Greg Rukowski. Like the guy has got his name in like every picture, but none of it looks like his work, which I think is really kind of funny. And to prove that you can kind of put almost anything down, it'll work. So for artists, let's go for like 8K, which is really a look. So in my mind, kind of an artist. Let's go with Unreal Engine. Actually, let's go with Octane. Normally, I'm not a person that reaches for Octane. I prefer other things, but in this case, it works for me. Octane Render. Let's go for highly detailed. And I like volumetric. So volumetric will add a bit of a fogginess. And I like dramatic lighting. So I'm just going to pile it all in here. Now you can do these in any specific, order you would like. But I think this is probably good enough. Let's run this and see what it looks like. Let's run a few. Let's run 3. I just did a video on using different samplers, by the way. So if you watch that, it was pretty cool to see how each of these different samplers works, and then how many steps are really needed to make it optimal. So in this case, I'm going to use Euler, and I'm going to drop it to 30 because I found that anything over 30 really didn't make much of a difference. And we see here our cost per image now is down to 1 credit instead of being 1.7. So this is a really good way to kind of test the waters and kind of have a really good idea of where we're going to pop out. So let's hit dream here. I do want to do 3 images. Let's see what this looks like. So it's going to use this image as our initial image and then use it is about half speed or so. Yeah, Greg Rakowski is definitely a household name. It sure is. Poor guy. Okay, this still looks very very rocky, which is not what I want. So I'm gonna go back to the editor and I'm gonna drop this down to like 30s. I really wish, and I've talked to them about it. I really wish that the ability to adjust the strength was right here in this panel, and rather than having to go into the editor just to change this slider, which I find to be a little annoying. But I need to depart from the way this looks. I don't want it to look like everyone else's image. I don't want to go someplace different with it. Okay, and I guess I'm getting, hey, TK brought this, whatever TK is. Yeah, TK brought us that one. This is interesting. Is it going to win us any competitions? I don't think so. But let's keep it. And maybe let's just kind of go with how something simple could change something. Let's go all the way to the back to the front, and I'm going to put scary in here just to kind of give it an adjective to add something to it, because it is almost Halloween, right? My favorite time of year. I have a whole lot of really creepy, really creepy images I have made. I kind of want to do almost a video on how to make creepy images. I have some fantastically creepy stuff I have made. Someone was asking, where do I find these challenges? This is one I joined many weeks ago, and there's 60 participants, and it's closed, so it's not open to the public. But and I don't play every week because sometimes it's something I'm not interested in or I'm traveling a lot. But it's a really great way to practice. So here's force you to use this specific topic and then go forward. In this case, use this image and go forward. So I'm going to do word scary in front of there, and I think I'm going to throw the word Halloween in there as well, with proper spelling, of course. And I don't know that I want to use the word rocky anymore. I'm going to pull that out because it is pretty damn rocky. Green glowing what? Green glowing. Let's go to rocks here. Green glowing alien landscape. Portal of space. Just see how this runs. Remember, everything in the left weighs more by default than the stuff on the right. So we have a random pumpkin in here. Oh, this is very interesting. I don't need a pumpkin in. But that's what the word Halloween is going to get me. So maybe we'll have to pull that out. This is actually pretty cool. I'll save that one. And let's do it again. Now, I'm going to go with, because there's no real rules written for this, other than we all have to start with the same thing. I might actually use that now as my point of departure and continue forward. So bioluminescent, that's a good one. I like that better than glowing. Let's get rid of the word green and just see what it comes up with. Little discovery. Again, we have to start with the same picture, but we don't really have to make it look like that at the end. I want to get away from it. This is starting to look like a video game now. Not really. Might drop this 8K here. Let's start working on scary paths here. Let's throw the word fractal in here. So fractal adds like a lot of little detail to prove that there's a factor. Remember, I guess in your mind when you're creating a prompt, always think of, if you use a word, that the bot has to prove to you that it's using that word. So a lot of people are trying to generate like a full portrait, a full body portrait, and they're running in that problem. They're trying to use the word full body or full portrait or things like this, and it's like it gets you, but it's not really understanding why you need that. So to prove it, you would say something like standing on, or flowing hair, flowing dress. It has to prove those things, so it has to back the camera up to do so. So that's kind of my strategy when I'm working on a prompt, is how close or how far I need to be away. I need to give it hints that it has to prove to me. So fractal should add some pretty interesting things through it. Path, this is all fine. I kind of want to shift the colors, so muted colors, or desaturated actually, to. And now I'm starting to think strategy-wise, maybe what I need to do is get so far from the original image with one prompt. Can I do something like that? And this is kind of interesting. Almost looks like something out of a video game at this point. Vincent DeFate or Johnny Berkeley. All right, so let me show you my other thing. So a lot of people always suggest different prompts, and the trouble with that is that there's so many prompts that, I mean, there's so many prompts out there. How do you know which ones to use? And I like this Lexica application. Oh, hang on a second. You guys are still seeing me there. Lost my window here. Hold on a second. I use this Lexica. And what I would do is I would put in the name of something that someone recommends. And see what kind of look it's giving. Okay. Interesting. What is another one? Let's try Johnny Berkeley. John Berkeley. So this is my way of doing things. Oh, okay. This is very interesting. So much more brush-free painting kind of stuff. Tips on not getting two faces to melt together. So why that happens is actually pretty interesting. All these models are trained on 512 squares. So everything is trained on a 512 square. And if you ask for something that isn't a square, that's taller than a square, it's basically doing two 512 pictures on top of each other. And so you get a head on the top and you get a head on the bottom. So they're merged together in the middle because it's trying to make, again, the whole thing sing. That's why you're getting the two heads or the odd positions. It just doesn't understand how to deal with that. And it's getting better, but they're all trained on squares. Every one of these systems is trained in a square. Now, I guess MidJourney has a thing they're doing to try and work their way around that. And I think Stable Diffusion is also kind of on that same page now, but we'll see. So I like the John Berkeley idea here. So let's go back and let's throw by John Berkeley in here and see what that turns out. I don't really like the way this is looking. This maybe if you just get rid of this path, all this. Just do a landscape and see what it goes. I'm changing a lot of variables at once here, which I normally recommend you do not do. I'm doing it anyway. Interesting. Notice it really doesn't look like that artist. I think it's, and a lot of that has to do with these being in front. So if we move Octane Render to the end, throw that back here. Highly detailed, we can leave up front. Volumetric again, I like because it creates that kind of fogginess to things, which I enjoy. This is actually pretty decent. I don't know if I just scared that one. Did I save that one? Did 404. This one's interesting. Let's do it again. So at some point I can throw this in here and go, okay, let's go back to the editor and clear the image and now use this image as a point of departure, right? Because why not? And see if we can go further with it. I think this is the intention here, is to start with one image and kind of work your way forward. So that right there is a pretty good departure from the original image. This one here has got kind of a sci-fi feel to it, which makes me think that I should add the word sci-fi in here. Let's use portal to space. That's kind of giving us that center focus thing, the portal words there. Biometric mana, saturated colors, render. Let's yeah, I want to run this again with the word sci-fi in there. Scary sci-fi is fine. Let's see where this goes. This is why I like these challenges, because it forces me to try different things and learn a little bit about maybe how to manipulate prompts in a way that I hadn't thought of before, because I'm being forced to do it effectively. Oh, this is kind of cool. All right, this is very interesting. It almost makes you want to go back though and bring in the original image again, just so that I can see what would happen if we use this sci-fi prompt here. 30% again. That way we're only one point of departure away. So everything we saved so far I think is pretty valid. Ooh, that's pretty cool. All right, so I kind of see where we're going to be going here, I think. I like this idea of going with the sci-fi part instead of it being so scary. So maybe the word scary here isn't really doing anything for us. So let's do industrial sci-fi. I'm going to use the word, I'm going to keep the word fractal in there. There's another fun one too, is filigree. A filigree adds like that fine detail, like lace almost, but it could, I mean, it could take any form in one of these. It could be the rocks, it could be light, it could be really anything. Sci-fi, industrial. Let's run this again. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's real. I like that. So now this is interesting. This is like something that could possibly win a competition, and we've done it in one step, which is the goal here. Let's throw a different John Berkeley and choose I can't remember. McKinnon. Said. Again, I could check Lexica. Yeah. So I like this kind of almost photorealistic look to it, which is what I'm hoping here. Tall alien landscape, portal to space, highly detailed, volumetric, dramatic lighting. Yep, desaturated colors. That's all good. Let's throw a 1930s in here. Maybe like a kind of like an Art Nouveau look, some different kind of a feel to it. Something. Try it in there. Actually, we could go. Let's just leave it like that first. I'm gonna save this one. I like this one. I like them all. That's what this button does, by the way. It downloads all of them together instead of in unique pieces like that. Try it again. Now, I look at some of the stuff on Lexica, and I see people who've copied a prompt that's got like completely almost counterintuitive stuff. It'll say like split lighting, for example, is when you light just half the face, but then the next word it'll say Rembrandt lighting, which is not when you light the face, and then it'll say ring light right after. I'm like, well, which one did you want? Because you just gave 3 completely different answers or requests to the bot. I don't like the colors of this one, so now I kind of want to shift the colors. So let's do Zorn Palette. A Zorn Palette is limited to it's a white, a black, and these are not exactly white and black. It's like I think it's titanium white, and I forget what the black is called. Then there's like a burnt umber or brown, and then a yellow or a red and a yellow. And with that palette, you can do so much. Let's bend it that way. Gonna get some of the colors into different areas. Palette. I want it to look like a book cover. So let's just throw a book cover in there. A tarot card would also be decent. Let's try book cover first and see what that gets us. A retro or vintage, that's a good one too. Yeah. Because that's the feel I think I want here, is like that, almost like that retro book cover from like the 1930s, 1940s. Back when C.S. Lewis actually wrote sci-fi books. By the way, they're not great sci-fi books, but like the whole Narnia series is fantastic, but his science fiction books are slow moving. A book cover, let's try tarot card. And let's throw, I like retro in there. And I actually have an idea for something that's completely counterintuitive. Now that I'm... Again, tarot card works really great because it's a taller frame. So if you do it with a wider frame, it doesn't work out real well. But I really like this mix. This is actually pretty interesting. This is really almost got the same flair to it as it does this, that orange rock that was in the front originally down here. You can see in the editor. I think that's pretty interesting that it's still represented well, which is good because it kind of proves that we did use this as our point of departure instead of just being some sort of random thing. So I'm pretty happy with that. I wanted to put the word Rococo in here, which makes absolutely no sense. You know, your Rococo painters like Fragonard. How do you spell Fragonard? Spell anything. We actually have a Fragonard hanging in the Milwaukee Public Museum down. This should mess it up. I actually want to move these to the beginning just to kind of see what happens. Yeah, you know, commas aren't really needed. They're more for human readability, at least at this point. I mean, as I'm sure as some of their other models are developing, that English will be required to be nicer. For example, DALL-E 2, for example, is much better at English. And you can use English sentences, and it's fine. This is more or less a list of things to pay attention to in order of importance. And if you think of a prompt like that, like dropping the words with, and you can do different things like holding, like is she holding something, or is she with something? Is she on a horse or next to a horse? Those words matter. But in this case, it's just a horse. You just throw it in there. In this case, we're just kind of throwing darts at it. I think some of these are pretty cool. I can't remember if I downloaded these. I'll try it again. Weird. I like where this is going. It's very different. It's this fractal filigree thing. You can see where it is starting to matter in some of the pieces of this, whatever these pipes are and things like that. It's pretty cool. So let's get rid of tarot card. Get rid of retro. Zorn Palette. I like. We could, just to be different, oil on canvas. Okay, so if you do oil on canvas, Octane Render in here makes absolutely no sense. So don't leave both. I mean, you could, but if I want to look like oil on canvas, leaving Octane Render in there is not gonna work. You're kind of creating a hybrid of multiple looks, which is fine, but if you're trying to go for a specific look, then you can't leave both those in. That is fantastic. I like that quite a bit. This is also, they're all very cool. I'm taking them all. I want this palette to be different though. I want red and green. And I'm just guessing with the red and green here. Hypoallergenic. You know what? Let's throw it in there. Why not? Did you see I did one the other day where I used a bunch of nonsense words at the end, which was really funny. Like in here, Ed Sub McKinnon, and let's invent an artist. This is a really great name. And leave that in there, and you'd be surprised that this thing is just going to go, oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Weird. Another fun one is Iridescent. This can be very overpowering though. So let's put it at the end. Hypoallergenic. Let's pull it out of there. But that's funny. Conscious palette. That's another good one. Yes. Pretty interesting stuff. We'll save it. Let's do. Let's try the conscious palette. Just cause. One's really, I kind of want to get rid of this 1930s in here now, kind of backing it up instead of just continuing to add words to things. The shorter, and this is just to sound a really blanket statement, the shorter prompt seems to just generate better images. I don't know if that's just true across the board or what, but in my experience, shorter prompts always just seem to work better. That's where I'm going with it. that fractal is really paying off right here. Look at all the little details it's adding in here. This is really great too. These do look like sci-fi book covers for sure. Let's throw in here Tom Bagshaw, a guy whose work I really like in real life. The guy's a fantastic artist. Let's throw him in there, and let's throw Peter Moorbacher, a guy who I actually back on Patreon. So I pay every month to Peter Moorbacher because, again, I love his work. I've been a fan of his stuff for a long time. I even have some decks of cards here. Check these out. These are my Peter Moorbacher Angelarium decks. Can't see that. Got 2 of them. I've been a Patreon for so long. Got all kinds of pins too, like little enamel pins and things. All right, let's try this. This should give us probably render a person in here, since they both do people. So we'll end up with probably an element or an entity. Work backwards here. What's killing us? Let's do saturated colors. Let's drop this off. Let's get rid of John Berkeley. Tall alien landscape, portal to space, highly detailed biometric dramatic lighting. We could remove Rococo and Fragonard. Yep, exactly. Start simple, complicate it, and then break it back down and try and figure out where you're going. So I can add commas in here if you would like to see those. So it's just, I mean, really, there's a comma between everything, right? Sci-fi, comma, fractal. So I'm not going to do that. Sometimes I'll edit too in here, like portal to space, because I was at a portal too. We can actually try and fix this. We can just do space portal, for example, and get rid of the word to, because again, it's just noise. We don't really need the word to hanging around in there. Highly detailed, which I tend to use. Maybe it's foolish. I'm not really sure. Another one I really like is epic scene or cinematic. Now, because of the type of work that Peter Moorbacher does, this probably isn't going to look cinematic. Did I spell it right? Like his work is more acrylic on canvas type of stuff. Run it again. Kind of cool. We've got quite a few here that are pretty neat. I think I like this one a lot. I'll have to look at them here in a second, and then we'll take it into Photoshop and we'll continue working on it a bit. Because I'm not going to stick with just whatever AI generates for me. 2, 6, and we can drop our oiler. Oh, that's fine. Pretty happy with that. This one's really great. So I'm looking at storytelling now. Say which one has the wow, that aspect to it. Because again, when we talk about competitions for imagery, it's always the impact is the one you can't get away from. It's that, is it immediately beautiful? And you take a breath and go, wow, I really love it. And then you sit and you look at it for a while and you discover more about it. That impact part is the part that you have to have in order to win. You can have a beautiful image that someone might look at and go, wow, you know what? She's a pretty girl. And it's really nice. And it's well lit and the skins retouched nicely. But at the end of the day, you're like, all right, what's, is it of impact? Okay, so kind of an old timey looking stuff. Let's try it. I do find the words and between the artists, by the way, to actually be handy. I have done it without the ands before as well. And it's hard to tell if it makes that big of a difference or not, but it was really weird. We're getting people in it. So I kind of want to let's drop this back a bit. So let's get rid of Seb McKinnon. Let's try this, and then we probably have enough material to actually go into Photoshop now and try something. This one apparently has got nudity in it. Yep. You can tell there must be a breast right here. It's hanging from the wall. It's a big breast. The planet of breasts. It's not a planet of breasts. Kidding. All right, this looks pretty good. Let's try this. Let's remove this conscious palette here. Cinematic. Let's drop that. Epic scene. Filigree. Let's get rid of the word fractal and just use the word filigree. Tall alien landscape. So just go tall landscape. Base portal. Highly detailed volumetric static lighting. Good. Oh, this is pretty too. It's interesting is they're close enough now that we can kind of see the initial image is still present and accounted for. It's just that we're using something else in there. And oh yeah. Well, Mandelbulb and the fractal would be the same thing. Nice to save them. All right, so let's see what we got now. Let's go. Let me grab all the ones that we just did, put them into a handy little bucket, and we'll get them together here. We'll do this. Bridge. Our friend Bridge. I should show you some of the creepy dolls I've been working on, or the creepy stuff I've been working on. They're really creepy. I kind of wanted to do just a separate video on Halloween imagery. Okay, so here's what we came up with so far. I'm just looking for the one that makes me go, wow, you know. I like this one. Give it a 4. Remember how lame this one was? Pretty lame. So again, I'm going kind of fast, but again, I'm looking for that impact, that thing that makes me go, wow. This is kind of cool. I keep coming back to it. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. That's cool. That's cool. This is going to be a problem, isn't it? We got a bunch of them that are pretty decent. This is... There's our original image. All right, so what do we end up with here? We got 8 that I really... Anybody have a favorite? Got 8 to pick from here. What are your thoughts? Do you have one you love? I really like this one, but it's a bit too volumetric. So if I can bring it out of that, if I can take that, say, run an aggressive curve against it here, back in. This is going to be a challenging for sure. Maybe something like that. Top rate is good. Okay, so we got number 8. We've got 1 vote for number 8 here. It's simple. That's the thing about it, is it's simple. It looks clean. It's got this big, nice thing going on. Top 3, number 3 in the top row. Yeah, this is one I kept coming back to. I liked it. this foreground, this foggy foreground element here is pretty neat. Top right is good. This one here, yeah, that's the one I kind of grabbed right away. And number 8. I kind of want to take, let's try this one and see if we can do something similar to it. I'm going to put it in here, but I'm going to drop it down under the curve. Ink on it a bit. Trying to figure out how much color I want in it. Which one's better, this one or this one? I think this one. But that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 6. I do like this one. It's kind of like a jellyfish looking thing, and I like that it's a little awkward shape wise. Put it under the same microscope here. Let's take some color out of it a bit. Little. You're not in Kansas anymore. Nope. Time to take the red pill. Yeah, that one is pretty cool. It's so again, we do direct comparison. This one, but I think this one is lost. Like where this one's just not going to work. Let's drop that one here. Between these two right now, I think. What's the app with the BR? This is Bridge. This comes free with any of your Adobe subscriptions, and I use the hell out of this tool. It's a really great way to quickly view a lot of imagery. Very quickly view a lot of imagery. Like I've got all my weird stuff in here from my local. I got all kinds of crazy stuff in here I've made from Stable Diffusion running locally. Yep, Adobe Bridge. My creepy clowns are in here. My creepy dolls. Look at these dolls. Yeah. Huh? Little nightmare fuel for you. I'm gonna do a video on how I made these. Is there a benefit to upscaling before you take it into Photoshop, or is it better to edit and scale final with Topaz or upscaling software? It's kind of a horse apiece, actually. I think that in general, it's better if you can upscale if you're in RAW before you get to Photoshop. But because we have a JPEG already, if it were a PNG, you want to scale it first. But since it isn't, it's just a JPEG, it really doesn't matter. It's a horse apiece. But if we upscale it, we would use a GAN to do that. We would not use, we wouldn't use this. Topaz is fine. I own Topaz, but Topaz is a GAN, but it's a generic GAN. It fits any type of image, from a landscape to a baby to whatever. If it were upscaling a landscape, for example, I would want to use an upscaling GAN. And there's a bunch of websites, find that one for you real quick here, that have a list of the well, it's actually just upscale.gan, isn't it? Upscale. Yeah, here it is. So upscale, the upscale wiki. This here, I'll put that in the text for you there. So this has like what type of image you're trying to upscale specifically, and it has a GAN made specifically for that type of a situation. Here, you want one just for cats, you want one just for coins. Here's one for faces. That's the GFPGAN. There's skin, foliage, and ground. So you kind of want to pick your poison. So a lot of people are like, I would just use Topaz, or I just use some other thing. Those are generic, and they're made for just like nearest neighbor and things like that. This is a GAN, remember, has been trained on real world images. Like someone handed it millions of faces and said, this is what a real face looks like. In fact, if you go to this person does not exist, this is, you're looking at a GAN that has generated these faces. So and it shows you down here, is imagined by this GAN from 2019. So this is using a Keras Actually, Karis is the AI researcher who did a lot of these things. There's a couple of samplers named after him, actually. But each one of these people don't exist at all. This GAN is really good at upscaling faces, because when you hand it a face, it knows what a face is supposed to look like. So when it upscales it, it would add details like, say, better lashes or details in the lips or things like that. It's using its knowledge of the human face as it upscales. That's why the GFPGAN is so great at what it does. You always want to find the GAN that works best for you. Topaz is a great product, but Topaz is now a little older compared to what has just happened in the last, say, 8 weeks, when everything is on fire now and AI is just insane. And there are upscalers inside of here as well. There's the one that comes with Lightroom, which we can actually instantiate from here. But when we're done with this, I'm probably going to do this locally. I use an application called Chainer. I have done a couple of videos on Chainer before, so if you're not familiar with that tool, I love it. I don't think I can. Let me see if I can get it to work right now, because I have so much permission set on my machine here to block out everything. Because I'm one of those people I download a lot of applications and a lot of stuff, and I used to be a software developer for years, so I know what kind of stupidity people can and are capable of doing. Let's load this in here real quick, and I'll show you Chainer. So how this works is you load the model in that you want to use. So here are all the GANs that I have. So here's GFPGAN here's one for women. Here's just a real ESR GAN. Here's a 16 times ESR GAN. Like, there's all these different ones. You can grab whatever one you want there. That's your model. Then you would grab your image that you want to upscale. So you would grab your image, load an image here. I'm not going to run this because it will cause the stream to stutter, but just work with me for a second here. So what you do is you'd say, okay, here's my GAN. I'm going to use this as the model, and this is my image. And then what I do is I want to save the image over here. So then you would just save the image. And you can even do things like bring in the name of the image and just attach that here. And now you can save it as like a PNG. And you would click the play button, and it would run through, and it would apply that model to that image, upscale it, and then save it out. And what's nice is you can actually do an iterator too. They have an iterator, which basically you go through everything in a specific directory. And I did a video on that not too long ago, so I'm not going to rehash this. But what I'll do is I'll set these all up, and then I'll go to sleep. And then I'll wake up the next morning, and I'll have a hard drive that is brimming full of finished images, that have all been upscaled and everything. And then I can go in and I can do any further manipulation I might need to do. The thing we have to worry about when we are manipulating images is loss of information. Let me give you a really good example. The human eye has, I don't remember the numbers exactly, but let's say your eye is capable of about 4 million colors or so, but it's capable of about 22 million. It has 22 million rods for detecting black and white. So it's much better with black and white than it is with color. I'll give you a really good example. You're looking at it right here. This layer is just a gray layer. If I turn it up to 100%, this is what we call a value representation of the image. And you see a lot of detail here, right? That's the ability of your eye to detect subtle variations in black and white, because it has so many rods in it. But if we take this and change the mode to luminosity, I'll turn the pixel grid on for this. If we zoom in here, and you see this grid of colors. If you take any 4 of these grids and average that color together, you will not be able to tell that it was changed, right? I mean, you look at these, they're so subtle in variation. This is actually how JPEG works. So it takes an average of a block of colors in only the color space and merges them or averages them together. And you end up with a file that is half the size, but all the black and white data is still intact, because that's the part your eye can measure. So if we average every 4 of these blocks, you won't notice it. The trouble is that if we do this over and over and over again, we end up with a situation where the image will start to degrade significantly. Now there's other parts to the JPEG algorithm too. I won't get into mostly the discrete cosine transform, which is kind of like almost like a checkerboard pattern, and it's certain patterns, and it'll say, well, it's this one and it's this one. It kind of mixes them together, and at the end of the day spits out something. But this knowing how a JPEG works is your question about do you do this first before Photoshop or not, as long as you don't damage your file. So a PNG does not do the averaging, but a JPEG does. So if you plan to manipulate an image multiple times, use a PNG or a TIFF or something else. Don't use a loss format like JPEG. Every time you save a JPEG and open it again to edit it, you are throwing away half your data effectively. Don't do that. I mean, you do that, but it's going to start to look kind of crappy after a while. So you got to pick your battles. I kind of want to do a little bit of color manipulation with this. Let's just throw a color lookup on it just to kind of see what we get, if there's anything interesting. Funny. Some of these are not working. So I'm just looking through some of these to see if there's a color one that we like. They're all about the same. Let's throw just a hue and saturation, and we can fiddle with this up top here. Different something out of it. Any of those either. I think we're better off with a color lookup in this case. We can also do it with a curve. If you hold down auto under the curve here, we can alter how the curve actually functions. If you look here at the luminosity curves, we do different things here. It'll start to adjust each color independently. I think what we had originally is actually good. I think I want more detail on it. Let's do a high pass filter on. Do it. What we're going to do here is we're going to ask it to produce a little bit more detail. Anything that is brighter than 50% gray is a screen blending mode, and anything that is darker than 50% gray is a multiply blending mode. When we turn it to overlay. Oops, no, I didn't duplicate it first. Duplicate it first, then do that. Then you can use it. So that'll add a lot more crispiness. We can actually do that again. We got to be careful though not to make it too junky. I'm concerned about the junkiness of it. So when it upscales, so this is a good example. We'd probably do this step after the upscale, because if we do it now, we're going to cause a lot of damage at the pixel level, because this is kind of making anything a little bit too crunchy. I still think this is our best image. I wish it wasn't quite as volumetric. We could actually try and go back and see if we can rebuild it. So let's go. Probably going to zoom right past it. It's actually really good too. I don't think I grabbed all those files when I was looking through here, because some of these I'm like, well, I don't remember that one. I need to go double check that I'm... why do you use a gray layer to saturate instead of a saturation layer thing? It's because Photoshop actually has two different color models. Most people don't know that. I'll demonstrate real quick. That's a really good question. So if we take... let's just take really saturated red here. Red, let's take a blue. Now you probably already assume that the yellow will be the brightest one, but if we use a hue and saturation adjustment layer, like most people do, and then you just grab the saturation and pull it down, they're all the same color. Because this color model here is not compatible with a lot of different parts of Photoshop, believe it or not. So I'll use it subtly, but I won't use it this way, because this is obviously not what I want. But if we use the gray layer here, it's set to hue, and that will actually behave as you would expect. So by just dropping the opacity of this, I can actually desaturate the image very accurately. This way it does not work. So we don't use this that way. This way. So yes, good question. Very good question. Oh, that's not what I want. Nightmare fuel. All right, well, let's go back to this thing. So let's try this one again. We've got our seed. So now we can kind of work backwards. So I say Zorn Palette. Let's try this again. Let's see if we can get a different answer. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking. It was one of those things I didn't really think about covering. Let's get rid of volumetric here. I think that's the problem child. Because we're using a seed and nothing else is changing, we can alter the prompt and have the image being refined without destroying kind of what we're going for here. Let's get rid of saturated color. Look how tiny this prompt is getting. Pretty good. Let's pull that into Photoshop. This other one. So it did alter it a bit, but for the most part, it's very similar, which is pretty cool that you can do that. It's one of those things in MidJourney you cannot do in MidJourney. Shame. It's too much color, so we're just going to pull that down. The only other way to alter color this way is to add the opposite color. So if, for example, this is a warm image, you would have blue. You had the opposite side of the color wheel, but that involves us getting out a brush and actually painting something, which I don't want to do. But I would run this through again, probably to upscale it 4 times, and then I would bring it back into Photoshop and probably do some cleanup with the noise and so on. We have denoising tools. There's actually new ones too. The neural filters, there's some in the neural filters over here, there's some that are pretty decent. Super zoom that. But yeah, see, I don't really know that I'm that confident with how well this is going to work, because again, is it a fit for face? Is it for trees? Is it for a baby? Is it for birds? Or is it cats? Yes. But to me, this is not as handy. JPEG, this would be a good one. Remove the artifacts from. But again, I probably wouldn't do that now. I'd probably do it after I upscale it, because anytime I alter a pixel at this time, I'm doing some pretty aggressive stuff to a very small sampling. You can already see like the ribbing that it's putting on the edge here. So I probably wouldn't use that. Let's try the super zoom. Let's just give it a whirl. Can't hurt, right? And see, now here's the enhanced face detail. So we'll try that. Let's add some noise reduction in there, and we'll. I'll put 2. That's fine. Apparently we lost. I don't know what happened there. You know, I think it was on the wrong. I was on the wrong layer. The one we want, right? Right. That. Soup or zoom, you choose. This. I don't want to reduce noise too much, because that's going to pull a lot of your detail out. So it's this balance of these two. We'll put it in a new document and see how big this is. How big are you? You are same size. I don't know what the use for that is. I'm obviously misunderstanding its goal. Plus, I don't like the way it looked. So I'd probably use Chainer and do that offline when you guys aren't sitting here watching me do this, because you'd be like, what the hell is he doing? So yeah, I think close these. I think that's decent. I like this. This is a good entry. Is there anything else I would add? Yeah, I'd probably, just knowing me, I'd probably try and grab some textures or something and drag them in there. I've got so many like light and dust things, for example. Let's grab some dust. That's actual. I want particles. This is actually snow that I took pictures of outside with a flash on my camera. All it is. But it looks legit. I just want a little bit of something. Actually, there's a really rather. I think it's... I'll find it. 2 seconds here. Loading done. These are all overlays I bought online. I put a link down below if you want them. I use this set of, well, if you watch this stream, I use it almost every single time I do a stream. I like this one. So it's got kind of a swoop of detail in here. So I just want a hint that there's something more fantastic going on. This one here is kind of a tilt shift look to it. We might hate it. I don't know. Let's try it and see what happens. I want to keep the aspect ratio the same, so I don't want my circles to look squished. So we're going to hold that down. A little something. Adds a little bit of texture to this. If we don't like it, don't use opacity. Okay. This is not the best way to do this. The best way to be, again, use a curve. And then just deny the curve to some of those parts. So you could actually lower it so say it's too bright in some areas. And pretty good. I'm going to probably blur this a little bit. That much. Be like half a pixel. Did you know you can blur by fractions of a pixel? It's true. You can. And we'll throw a saturation against that too. Looks more Cthulhu-esque now, maybe. I don't know. Let's flip it the other way. Ooh, I kind of like that up near the top better, I think. Yeah, interesting. Neat. Something good. I'm happy with that. That's a really interesting image we got there in one jump. We went directly from the prompt to the end result in Dream Studio with just one. So again, where I would really use this, and where I do use this, is taking a client picture, because you can take literally any picture and throw it in here and have it kind of produce something that's different. It'll merge all those things together, and then you can go back in and Photoshop in the faces. Another thing. Another cool tool, by the way, if you have not played with it, I actually probably do a separate video, is this NVIDIA Canvas. If you have an NVIDIA card, this thing is freakishly cool. Again, if your goal is to produce something for a client, and you're like, well, I know I really need I need a picture of like this ocean area with like a cliff, and you're like looking through stock photography one, you don't need that in here now. You can go in and just draw. So I want some clouds up in here. Example. Our clouds here, and then we could say, okay, we need. There's a mountain back here, right? We've got a mountain, and we've got some weeds up front here. Got some. Like, isn't this really cool? And some flowers are in through here. This mountain looks like butt. Well, let's get rid of the mountain. Build hills instead. But you can put these on different layers and do different things. And what we would do then is drag this into drag this image into Stable Diffusion along with our client or whatever we need, and then start from here. So we don't have a cost incurred from, say, stock photography, and we have exactly the landscape we need. This is a really horrible example, by the way. There's some good ones that come with it. Lush marshes. Look how cool that is. And this is all it is over here. What a great tool. And then you got different styles here, so you can, depending on the look you're looking for, just kind of change it. And then again, take this into Stable Diffusion, plop your client in there, you know, in the water, because that's what you're doing, right? And then have Stable Diffusion say, you know, girl in water in front of mountain scene, dramatic clouds, boom. And then you have a finished image. Then take that into Photoshop and then make sure the client's face is the client's face and not some sort of travesty of AI art. But this is really neat thing. It may not be applicable to you who has Adobe Bridge. However, it's a pretty neat software called Illusion. Well, yeah, maybe there's quite a few of them out there. The thing is that I'm a big Bridge fan. I've been using Bridge forever. And it's so handy to be able to just get where I need to get, that I've just kind of grown 100% attached to the thing. There's nudity in there. These are all my old images I have been creating and stockpiling on my hard drive forever. These are my creepy dolls. Aren't they lovely? There's some of my ladies in here too. This is all Stable Diffusion stuff for the most part. But I'm going to do a video on some of these dolls because I think creating Halloween imagery is my favorite time of year, and it drives my wife absolutely nuts because she's not a Halloween person. So she's like, I'm going to block you from Facebook during Halloween. You know, I understand it's going to happen. I get it. But yeah, so I might do a whole thing on that because I've been doing vampires and I've been doing dolls because those two things are nightmare fuel, right? And that's what we're about here on this channel, nightmare fuel. Well, anyway, I hope you guys had fun today and you liked it. If you did like this video, click the like button. That lets everybody know, hey, this was okay. This was fun. Let's do this again. I appreciate it. Again, every Tuesday at about 11:30 Central Time, we do this here. And I'll probably do another live stream later this week. I try and stick with it on Fridays. I had a high school senior shoot yesterday. I have a doctor's office shoot tomorrow. I have a boudoir shoot. I have a body paint, and then I have another boudoir shoot. And then Friday, I think I'm off. So Friday, I might do another live stream. So we've got a lot of news that's coming out with Stable Diffusion and a lot of hopefully new releases of things. And then there's actually a Photoshop plugin for Stable Diffusion as well, which is getting a lot more refinement, and hopefully we'll see that released here soon as well. So I'm working with some of these people to help with testing and other things, but obviously can't show the cards until these things are ready to be seen. But I'm really excited for all the stuff that's coming out. So yeah, I'll probably do a video on how to install Stable Diffusion locally. I know there's a few of them out there, but as I say, there's a couple of them that are just wrong. There's one that's pretty decent, but it's quick. But I want to take a little bit more time and go through it, although it doesn't have to be protracted and you don't have to be technical. You do need to really have an NVIDIA card, though. A 3060 or better would be great. I mean, you can get away with less. But I'll tell you, I've been renting some server time. I can't remember the name of the place I'm using. It's like pennies an hour versus buying a $900 video card. So might be something to consider. Hey, everybody. Yeah, thanks for coming in today. I appreciate you guys hanging out. You guys were super chatty today, which I really love. Sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to myself in here, which is really nice that you guys are chatty. I appreciate that. But yeah, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. And if there's something that you would like me, if there's something you would like me to cover, throw that down there as well. So the next video will probably be me and my laser cutter, because I've been working on that, some stuff for that. And I haven't done a laser video in a couple of weeks. There's that. I'll be in Portland near the end of this month for their state convention, Portland, Oregon, I should say. So I'll be in Oregon after that. And then I will be heading down to back to Orlando. I was apparently, and I didn't know this at the time, on the last plane out of Orlando right before the hurricane hit. I was like, do I have an option of 11 o'clock or at 2 o'clock? And I just went with the 11 o'clock because I had nothing better to do. And I guess they closed the airport at like 12:15 or something. And it was my 30th wedding anniversary that weekend. And my wife's like, you would have missed it. We were gone without you. So I'm glad I was home for that. Anyway, hey, everybody. Thanks for coming in. Take care. Stay safe. And I'll catch you guys all next time.